Welcome to Individualists Unite. I'm the Radical Individualist, aka Chip, and this is part 2 of my 3-part interview with Rich in Conversations with Real People. For more content, please go to Individualists Unite at Substack.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I don't feel like my quality of life is just off the charts because we have instant communication. This is a wonderful thing. I'm for it, but it doesn't make that a huge difference. And of course, people say, kids walking around like this on their phone wherever they go is actually messing them up and inhibiting their social interaction with the people they're around. And I can see that. So.
It's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, though, with young kids.
And we won't, but I think we can adjust. I know schools are adjusting to the point of not allowing the use of phones, which they should have done that from the beginning.
That's one thing I agree with you about.
Unless they're praising Trump, then they can use the phone.
But I read an article about that where some schools are enforcing this, and a lot of the parents agree with it, but some parents don't. Some parents want to be able to call their kids at any second. But they collect the phones at the beginning and they put them in these little packets or little, things that and they lock them and whatever. And then the kids can take them, I think, with them.
I know
they can't use them.
What they do. Yeah, they carry the phone with them, but they can't use it. Yeah.
And it has a little lock on it. And as they're leaving, they turn on this little thing, just at the end of the school day. And as they go out, they can put it up to this screen or something that it unlocks it, and they've got it. But, because even before they had rules, you can't use your computer, during class, but they still would. And I think a lot of teachers didn't like being the enforcer. We want to teach. We don't have to be want to be running around all the time.
Well, go back in the dark ages. Remember when the electronic calculators were first a thing and kids were doing their math problems in class with a calculator? Well, that thing never existed before. And then the question was, well, why not? Or is that a bad thing? Because you see it both ways. But I do think, and people are starting to realize this, the kids, and I know this from some of the stuff I do. If you just know this is what you're supposed to do, you don't know why. You just do this and you get the right answer. Well, how did it happen? I don't know. Doing the math by hand, I think, helps your brain, helps you train your brain to comprehend what this is really about, beyond just pushing buttons. And I think there's too much of sometimes a perfunctory, well, here's what I do to get to where it's supposed to be, and I have no idea how it works. And well, that's what pet dogs do. They know if they do this, they get a biscuit. They don't know why. Thinking helps, being able to relate things.
And
I was gonna somewhere here. I was gonna work this in. So here we are. About how much do we need these modern advancements, the computers? And I think a big thing that I don't hear people discuss, because here you and I are on a computer. This will ultimately be available to everybody in the world, which at least 12 people will actually watch it. I don't know, or listen, but theoretically thousands, millions. Just two guys talking, and that pick a time 20, 25, 30 years ago, that just couldn't happen. And why I think, besides that being a nice thing and all, why I think that matters is because what I said about the media used to be they could get away with a lot. Hands up, don't shoot. Who was going to contradict them 30 years ago?
Exactly.
Well, now you can't get away with it. There's going to be somebody that says, hold on, wait a minute, that never happened. And it could be some guy like me, some guy like you, and we can all communicate with each other and compare notes. And they talk about misinformation and disinformation. Certainly it's out there, but the truth is out there too. And you cannot hide the truth the way you used to. And I'll take the disinformation and misinformation right along with it, just so I can have the truth. That's up to me to figure out which is which. And I have no problem with that.
No, I agree that there's many more sources of information to check different stories that you might see in the mainstream media that are easily available. A number of years ago, you go to the library and they had all these magazines from different groups, and you could get their take on it or whatever. But nobody did that.
Yeah.
This way, you can just do it real quick. So yeah, I agree. That's a good thing. I think probably maybe more than you do. There's some dangers with misinformation and disinformation on the internet, and there's no guardrails really. I don't think. I think the internet and social media are sort of a neutral thing, and it's how we use it, and I think that's developing. I think. As time goes on, we'll use it. This is my opinion, in a more healthy way than it's being used now. But yeah, so I think actors from that are trying to, they don't have good intent, and they're trying to disrupt things like in our country, and they can be in China or Russia or Iran or whatever, can send things, and they appear on the internet, and they appear to be from someone in the United States, maybe an organization, maybe an individual person. But it's only been around, 10 years or 15?
Depending where you want to start.
Yeah. And it takes, so long to adjust. What worries me is things change so quickly. And now they're, with AI, I think there's the capability of, or there will be soon, to take, a person's image and a person's voice, and from videos that authentic videos of the person, and then make them appear to be saying something that they never said.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is, how do you determine which is authentic and which is not? And
ask the guy.
Right. Oh, of course.
That's of course what I'm leading to is, and I think I just read somebody say this morning, something I was reading. It said, we are so full of horse shit coming from everywhere.
Right.
You almost have to be, there's almost no such thing as being so dumb as you don't realize you can't believe what you're seeing, reading, or hearing without authenticating it.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing, because people have been too trusting. I read, and that's an old expression, I read it in the paper, so it must be true.
Must be true.
And it was facetious, because when you said that, you were saying, maybe I don't know it's true.
Yeah, right.
So I believe absolutely nothing. By the way, I do have a science background, and that's the scientific method, is do not believe anything until you can prove it.
Yeah.
And if you can't prove it, well, if you got a whole lot of evidence, then you say, well, I think this is essentially true because I've got a whole lot of evidence. And you settle for that,
Right.
You just believe everything you hear. So I think it's kind of good that all this stuff is coming from everywhere. You talk about websites from Iran that could look like they're American or something. And I'm not an expert, I can make a very authentic looking website in 10 minutes and make it be by some official organization that I want to just make up. The American Atmospheric Survey says that CO2 is going to kill us all.
Yeah.
You make it up and you put it out there, and people look at it, and if they've got a brain in their head, they'll say, who the hell are these people?
Yeah.
How do I know they're for real,
Yeah.
And even the people that are for real, the government, which you trust a whole lot more than I do, they're people. It's a statistical fact. Every government agency is made out of people.
Right.
So you can.
I can agree with that.
You can assume so much, and unfortunately, and it's always been the case, but more and more, these people have political inclinations.
Right.
They aren't there to be unbiased. They're pushing an agenda by and large.
Yeah.
So then you have to figure out, well, what's their agenda, and try to sort through that. So it's better just not to believe it until you can believe it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. But I think there's a lot of people who are more gullible than you are, and sort of if it's from a source that they think, I think some people will go to a certain source, whether it's Fox News or,
CNN, whatever.
CNN or the New York Times or the Epic Times, I think it is one. So, and they, just say, well, this is the New York Times. They're trustworthy. I'm take it hook, line, and sinker. Or the conservative site.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people. I think there's a substantial number of people that aren't as suspicious of what they read, and even if they are a little bit, they may not have the resources or the time to, go to all these different sites and try to get a better sense of, from a number of different sources that might make you think it's authentic or it's not. So, and my worry with the internet and with AI is that, back in the day, I guess television is pretty instant too, but it can spread so fast, so far where,
hey there, Pooch. Toby's around here. Yes, it's the expression, a lie makes it around the world before the truth gets its pants on.
You're right, yeah. I think Mark Twain might have said that. So, I don't know where my thought was.
Well, we're talking about telling the truth from all the BS.
Yeah. It just seems like, like you say, a lie that is, sort of shocking or something, really moves fast. But with the internet, it can move much faster than it used to be.
Yeah.
I like to read history, and sometimes, and it'll be, I don't know, I think it was like 1850s or something. Something happened in England, and people in the United States got the news like 7 days later.
That's pretty fast back for the time.
Yeah, and it's like, you didn't get all worked up every minute. You're looking at, and a half an hour ago this happened, and to be honest with you, I waste a lot of time, on the internet, trying to keep up with a certain story I'm interested in, and the latest, things that have happened in that story. Hi there, buddy.
That's while I deal with the dog.
Okay,
but. Yeah, and I think you say, communication was so much slower, and people didn't travel as much. And I think so. Something happened in Russia today. We know about it in 5 minutes, and we're going Russia.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, back in the day, Russia was like, isn't that over somewhere over near Europe or something? I mean, people weren't so focused on all this stuff, so it didn't seem so incredibly significant the way anything that happens in the world now.
Yeah, I think that's for a lot of people. For me, it creates a more stressful environment than when a lot of the news we get now we never get at all, because I spend a lot of times on the little details of a story, and if I just waited till the story resolved, I get all the information I need. And I wasted all that time. And day 3 of the trial, this happened, day 4, and so, I got a little off track. I mean, that's wasting your time on the internet. It's not a huge threat to our country or anything, but
maybe, but
but I just think the internet sort of acts as an accelerant to certain stories, and it's so quick, I think in some countries it affects, the outcome of elections, or if a certain minority is going to be, attacked and killed and so on. I don't think it's that much of a problem here, because the government so far doesn't have a strong control of the internet. They try to affect it some, but I personally don't think it's a big danger at the
I'll
moment.
differ with you to a degree. I think they have too much control even now, but they don't have the control that China has or Russia.
Right.
But too much control already. And I think legitimate claims have been made about 2020 and what government agencies were influencing what social media. I know it's a matter of degrees. Certainly it happened. Did it happen too much, or what happened that we don't know about, that sort of thing?
You're talking about COVID restrictions or not?
I wasn't now talking about that, but that too. But
It always humanizes a program when you see a dog walking around in the background.
Okay, well now you got to go. He doesn't talk too much.
He's too low to be in the picture, so I don't mind him staying. But
well, if he should, if you don't mind, we'll make it.
We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Okay.
You'll probably really
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So anyway, we were talking about influence because, I mean, Trump was shut out of Twitter just because certain people at Twitter, in cooperation with government, when I say the government, I mean Democrats in the government, conspired to shut him out of Twitter. Parler threw him off Amazon threw Parler off of its servers because Parler had the audacity to present a conservative point of view and so forth. And people argue, well, those are private enterprises, they can do what they want. That's true to an extent, but number one, it's unethical, as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to pretend to present everything, then present everything, or not. But when the government, First Amendment right, some nanosecond of the federal government or any government is involved with communicating with a social media company, well, now the social media company and the government are acting in cooperation with each other, and that's absolutely no-go. Absolutely. So, there's things that were blatantly unconstitutional and have an effect on the election.
Yeah.
And I would say that if every Republican in Washington was trying to convince Fox News to do something to ghost somebody or whatever, and cancel somebody, I'd be every bit as pissed off.
Sure.
It's just not right.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. Pardon me. Well, I'm dealing with the dog. And I did want to get to this because we talked all around it. But as far as why people believe Fox or CNN or New York Times or this or that, or they believe this party no matter what it does, or that party no matter what it does. In the meantime, this other party, well, my party's right, they're always wrong. Which defies any kind of logic whatsoever. You cannot be paying any attention or thinking at all and think that. So why do people believe that? And it occurs to me, sports. You go to a football game. You don't go to a football game unless you're there to watch your team, whichever one it is. Nobody goes to a football game to see a football game. You go to see your team. And the people for the other team are on the stands on the other side rooting for their team. The funny thing is they're all playing football. They're all really very much alike, not different. You're still on different sides of the line of scrimmage, but they're playing the same game. And they need each other to play that game. And so it's in us to root for our side, to have a side and root for it. I get that. But people need to understand the difference between, hey, good for our side, let's just cheer them on and whatever, on the one hand, and then on the other hand, taking that mentality to places where it shouldn't be, where people need to be reasonable and discuss issues and sort things out that affect all of us for real. You can play in a football game, you can be in the stands watching it, or you can simply go do something else and the hell with all of it. You can do that with football, but you can't do that with government. We all have to face it and deal with it and try to make it work as well for everybody as possible. And a lot of people don't have that mentality. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are in government. They certainly shouldn't. So,
some people go into government, or some politicians, go into politics for reasons that aren't best for their people that vote for them, but they feel it's best for them. and they might have, they want to be powerful, they want to be famous, and the first thing on their mind isn't, how do I best serve the country or serve my state or whatever. The first thing is, how do I make myself look good, or and how do we make the other side look bad?
Yep.
So they won't vote for them and they'll vote for me, that's that. I mean, in a way, almost defines most politics, unfortunately, and on the left and the right.
Yep.
So, I mean, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to jump in and say, because you read some history. I'm kind of very interested in 19th century America, and anybody that thinks any of this stuff started up like 7 years ago or whatever, it's been that way since day one.
Right.
Since before day one, going back to wherever you want to go back to.
Yeah.
The contention, and not just fight. I mean, different ideologies, sort things out. Okay, fine. But the nastiness, the outright lying,
sure,
been around for the history of this country, and then some. So no, I don't like any of it. You don't like any of it. And still, I say though, what's happened here most recently has gone way dangerously beyond even the BS. So when you see a stupid political ad where my opponent kills babies,
right.
That's pretty damn pathetic. But
right.
It's okay, But when you weaponize the government against your opponent, when you're shutting people down, closing their bank, when you're freezing their bank accounts so that they can't even function just because you can, not because you have any right to do it. That's really dangerous.
Could I ask you something?
Yeah.
Where are instances where they've been freezing bank accounts?
Well, one of the most famous ones is Canada, when those truckers came into Toronto. To protest all the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And Trudeau froze bank account.
Wow. I did. Of these truck drivers?
Yeah.
Really?
And not only that, but what's GoFundMe, the site, a lot of people had donated to GoFundMe for the drivers to help them sustain. GoFundMe's took it upon themselves as a place that's supposed to receive donations and takes a cut of the action on behalf of whoever you want to receive those donations, decided to just freeze the accounts. In other words, keep the money for itself. And apparently, they're actually going to try to just keep the money for themselves. And people say, you do that, we'll arrest your ass.
Right,
You'll be in prison. Oh, well, in that case, we'll return the money to the donors, which they had no right to do that either. They set themselves up to do what they were doing. And then they said, oh, but we don't like those truckers and what they're doing. So we're going to, no, you're committed to doing this for people, you do it.
Right.
No, I have no respect for that.
Yeah.
So this is just one example, and I was just watching something. It is something not too many people are aware of, and I don't want to have a lot of time because it's not mainstream. Well, it is. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But Governor Whitmer and the kidnapping plot. I knew a fair amount about it. I just found out a lot more that. The people involved claimed that the FBI set them up, and I said, okay, sure, could be. Well, it turns out, holy cow, these are just some yahoos who were just just out messing around, and they were steered, they were manipulated into, and they weren't even plotting kidnapping anybody. They just got literally put in the backseat of cars and said, we're going to go over here. And they're going, where are we going? Oh, this will be great. Yeah, where are we going? And the next thing you know, they're under arrest for a kidnapping plot. And I go, what the? But anyway, the reason I brought that up here is because the woman who's doing a documentary on that had Bank of America freeze her account, an account she'd have for any number of years, no problems, because she was doing this documentary. She raised holy hell.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I agree. I think should be illegal, that kind of thing.
I'm sure. I imagine it is.
Yeah.
But, who are you going to, call a
Yeah.
cop. How are you going to get Bank of America to do it?
Yeah, yeah,
She did get them to reopen the account because they got hell.
Yeah.
Bank of America did. But what
Yeah.
happens if they don't catch hell? I think
Right,
a lot of
right.
times they get away with it. You know,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
literally just Bank of America, but anybody who gets away with it.
Right.
And it goes on.
Yeah.